Hello again. We've come to Cheadle, which is just south of us in Stockport. It's one of our favourite places for just mooching about in the shops, especially on days like this. It's Friday and the working week has finished. The pay and display isn't working. It's gobbled up my money. Jeremy's having to use the app, which is one of the great curses of the age, isn't it? Whatever you want to do, there's somebody telling you to use the app and you have to download some kind of digital nonsense to your phone. Anyway, it's quite a nice graveyard over there. Can you see? I think we've had a look around that before. Anyway, there's some little charity shops to have a look at. They usually have quite good books and records. I'm not actually going to buy anything if I can help it in that line. What I really want are kind of Christmassy novelties and gifts. That's what I'm looking for. Starting my Christmas shopping. 3 hours. Okay. It is a nice one because it's slightly overgrown. This would be a good place to come and read. Read a spooky story to camera at a funny time of night. God, it's lovely here. In the sun especially. There's Jeremy doing his app for the parking. Of course, meanwhile I'm walking through a different kind of parking lot. I wonder if they all paid for the app. The Eternity app. Having jumped over the wall, I'm not sure of the way out now. It's a squirrel. Going crackers. Ah, there's the lich gate. I actually heard another footstep then. You silly Paul. It's broad daylight. It's a really much nicer day than it's got any right to be. Here he comes. Did you get sorted out with the app?
Yes, just something, just
Hello, we're back again from the shops, from our afternoon out. I didn't do any more filming. Don't know why. I forgot. I was too busy looking. In the Bernardo's shop as well, there was two women on the counter and they got the giggles. I think because I was looking at a really lopsided, silly homemade teddy bear that I wish I'd bought. And I think they were giggling at me for looking at it, because they tried to stop, and it was quite disconcerting. People are very silly. Because I thought the teddy was hilarious anyway. I wish I'd filmed that bit because they were so kind of weird and socially awkward. I don't know. I don't know why people have to laugh at other people, really. It seems very silly. Anyway, put me off that shop. The Bernardo's Vintage Shop in Cheadle used to be a really good place to visit. These days, not so much. A bit tatty and overpriced, really, for what it sells. Now, I went to Oxfam, which Jeremy usually doesn't like because their records are overpriced. He always complains. But I found some wonderful things. Some of them presents, so I can't actually talk about them here. Good finds though. But for myself, I happened upon this. Darling, I'm Going to Charlie, a memoir by Maurice Walensky. I didn't know about this. It came out in the States. I'm not sure it was published in the UK. It's by the journalist widow of one of the cartoonists killed in the Charlie Hebdo terrorist attack in 2015. We just sat in the cafe there having a milkshake and a sit down, and I read the first 2 chapters, and it's absolutely gutting. It's such a... You can see the whole book is going to be an amazing defense of free speech and freedom to think and to laugh at anything. The freedom of thought of the individual against terrorism and fundamentalism. And it looks like a wonderful book. The 2 chapters I've read are really, really well written. She's a journalist, so she's talked to everybody involved and recreates that particular morning of January the 7th really well. Reportage is the word, isn't it? And this, The Writer Abroad, a British library book. Literary travels from Austria to Uzbekistan, and it's little clips of great writers all over the world, last couple of centuries, and it's really nicely illustrated with maps and etchings and things. Just little snippets, really, and lovely colourful maps. Reminds me, actually, one of the maps that I saw reminded me of one that we had, a map of the world, in our house when I was a kid, and it was all gold and colourful. And I loved it. Anyway, this looks terrific. And the snippets from these different writers, as you can see, are kind of half a page long, so it's perfect. It's a dipping in book, which I find irresistible. So they were my own finds for today. I won't talk about the presents that I got. In the post arriving the last couple of days, Julian Clary's new novel, Curtain Call to Murder. I read a novel by him about Noel Coward and Noel Coward's house called something about underpants. Briefs Encountered, about 10 years ago, and really loved it. So I was pleased that he's chiming in with the current vogue for people off the telly to write murder mysteries. At least he can write, unlike several of the people, the celebs writing books. And this Matthew Todd book, Straight Jacket, How to Be Gay and Happy. Something that would never have leapt out at me. It sounds too self-helpy. It's a memoir. But it's somebody about my age and talking about growing up in the closet, growing up in the time of Section 28 and AIDS and the kind of barbarism that we had in this country, still have in this country, really, when you think about it. And he's a journalist, I think, and he talks, in the excerpt I read, he talked about giving up booze and how booze had dictated his life for so long and how it was an escape from the pressures that he felt being in public and having to face the world. And I remember, it really reminds me of something somebody said to me years ago about coming out and being gay. And he was about in his 40s then, when I was still in my 20s. This fella Nigel, a friend of a colleague, and he told her And she passed it on to me that he'd said that you have to come out every day. You've got to walk down the street and know you're different to most people you meet. And that never goes away, that feeling, that the world is designed for people who aren't the same as you. You're not in the majority. So I thought this was really well written, the little excerpt I read. I don't know where it was. It was one of those things that pops up on Apple News or something. I don't know why it was being excerpted, because this book's quite old now, I think, a few years anyway. But it was an eBay thing that I had to get. I'd started this gay memoir that I talked about, the unicorn one about the Muslim drag queen. I read a couple of chapters and I found it a bit shallow, actually. It really was about, oh, if you're gay, you just want to be a girl and dress up, for your mummy. And maybe it gets a bit deeper. I don't know. He was a bit of a mummy's boy. That's terrible. Yeah, I don't know. That's the problem with memoir, isn't it? You get caught up in the memories of just one person, and it has to be more than that. The person's experience has to speak wider than that, which is why I'm distrustful of the whole kind of own voice thing, I think. We can't just get wrapped up in the voices of just everyone being singular and separate. Some voices have more resonance, basically. It's like, Scattershot, the Bernie Taupin book, he's had one of the luckiest, most privileged lives you can imagine, but because he can write in a particular way, his world view and his life takes on a resonance that, somebody with less talent couldn't give it. I don't know what I'm saying, really. I think it's not so much the material of your life, it's what you make of it, which is almost so obvious to say. It doesn't need saying, but I think it does. In other words, it's not enough just to be the thing and tell us about it. You have to tell us about it in a good way. That's what I think about the whole kind of own voice, authentic experience thing. Yes. Pontificating on Friday afternoon. I shall go. We're going to have a curry tonight and hopefully get some time to read all day tomorrow. That's my plan. Okay, I hope you're all well and enjoying what you're reading. Do let me know in the comments below if you've heard of the things I've talked about and the books I've picked up this week without meaning to. Oh, I know what's going to show you. The thing I'm reading. This, The Lost Ones by Anita Frank. Came out about 4 years ago. I think I got this in one of those box of books where they choose 4 books for you and send you a parcel. A subscription service that I did last year and quite liked, although I thought in the end, I'd rather choose my own books, thanks. This is a proper middle of the First World War, stately home, ghosts, uppity parlourmaids, nasty housekeepers, bereft young women and pregnant sisters and fiendish old ladies and hopefully lots of scares to come. I'm, I don't know, not even a third of the way into it. And it was just something I picked up off a pile on the way to bed and fell into. And as I said, that's my favourite kind of organised reading, or disorganised reading, that you leave the things around the house and eventually one of them, the right one, will fall into your hand at the right moment and take over your world for a few days. That's what it means to me, to have books everywhere. Yeah, the tsungdoku of having books everywhere. Okay, goodbye. I'll see you again soon.